Hey YouTube, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope the week's off to a good start for you. It is a beautiful, perfect spring day here in South Alabama. Not a cloud in the sky and about 75 degrees today, so definitely going to get outside. But today I want to talk about easy weight loss for summer on a raw food diet. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go down and hit that big red subscribe button now. Then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you will stay subscribed to the channel. It's about that time. What's the day? The day I'm shooting this is April 19th. Spring already. For some places you can go to the beach, but you still got a couple of 3 months before we hit that prime time summer weather. So if you didn't, if you haven't exactly accomplished those New Year's resolutions with the weight loss and stuff, it's not too late. Not too late. Still got plenty of time. And the first thing I want to say is don't do anything drastic. Little background first. Just on me, the people that have heard this a million times. Just play around for a few minutes. My background: I was a fat kid. I was bigger as I grew up. I kind of grew out of being a fat kid when I was about 13, 14 years old. But I was always big. I was big throughout high school, college, lifted a lot of weights, ate massive amounts of food, drank a lot. Looked like a big linebacker. I was about 245, about the heaviest point in my life. Last year of college and the first few years out of college, I started slimming down because I didn't see any reason to carry that kind of weight anymore. So kind of started coming down, and found my way down to about 200, 190, 200 pound range. And that's where I stayed for a long time. 180 at my height, 6'2". I was always pretty lean. I could get pretty jacked at 180 because I'd retain the muscle, look pretty lean and shredded. Like everybody else, though, I kind of did that thing where I never got super overweight. And that's why, that's interesting. Like, I've always wondered why somebody's mind doesn't work like mine. Like, I had a ceiling. Like, there was only so heavy I was going to get. So even though I probably gained and lost that same 20, 30 pounds, who knows how many times in my life, it never spiraled out of control because I always had that ceiling. I'd get to a certain point and I'd be like, okay, got to do something about this. But it was like everybody else when I felt like I was getting a little bit fat, like in that thumbnail you saw on the video. It would be like just for everybody else. It wasn't easy. It wasn't just like, I just stopped, I just dropped weight like that because I decided to. I had to work at it, had to restrict, or I did restrict back then, doing all the cardio. As soon as you got through with the weights in the gym, you had to do the cardio every day. All I'll say about this is, of everything I ever did, this is the easiest thing I ever found. Easiest way to lose weight I ever found. And I would say this, not to discourage you just because you're not doing it the same way as me, but if you cannot lose weight on a raw food diet, on a raw vegan diet, eating whole plant-based foods, chances are, I don't know if you're going to be able to lose it. If you're really doing this lifestyle the right way, eating whole foods, being somewhat moderate in your fat intake. I've been trying to put the brakes on for years. When I first got to this lifestyle, I just plummeted my weight. I wasn't trying to lose, and I got down to about 143 pounds. So anyhow, the other day too, I was listening to something had nothing to do with veganism, how he was losing the weight, this guy that had been over 500 pounds, and how some of the things he did. And I don't know, maybe when you're in that range, obviously I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a weight loss expert, I just, use a lot of common sense on this. Maybe in that kind of range it's okay, but he was talking about like the first few months of his journey, he was doing like living on 600 calories a day, and he was always lightheaded. Don't do that. Don't restrict yourself. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything that you can't live on for the rest of your life, because if it's not sustainable, all you're going to do is yo-yo. You might do something initially. There's a lot of things out there you can do to lose weight. It's about, is it healthy weight loss, and are you going to maintain that weight loss? Excuse me. like I've said many times in my videos here, and I know it's probably getting cliche for me to say by now, but I really, really, really want to double down on this, and I believe it 100% that if you focus on your health, if you truly focus on your health, that all this other stuff will fall into place. You don't have to even specifically do all this weight loss. Google weight loss. Think about weight loss. If you think about getting this machine, this vessel healthy, your weight is generally going to find itself. And something else I've been harping on a lot lately is I think it's so intertwined with that gut health. Everything. I'm Fiber Fueled. Let me mention that book yet one more time if some people haven't heard it yet. Been reading this book, or I haven't been reading. I've been listening. I don't have the book. I think I'm actually going to get it for my iPad, just so I have that as a reference. But I've been watching a lot of videos on it and just realizing, even more so than I knew before. I wasn't unaware of this before, but just how much our gut health affects our overall health. So if you've had a hard time with any issues, whether it's the skin, whether it's some type of bowel issue, irritable bowel, anything like that, a lot of times it's something not quite right in that gut flora. Is that the right way to say it? The gut flora. Yeah, the flora and the fauna. So look, if you're having trouble, look at, number one, focus on being healthy. Simple as that. Just focus on your health. Focus on making yourself healthier. Number two, work on that gut health specifically. Number three, then just there's a lot of common sense involved. Now, when I'm saying a raw diet, when I'm saying raw vegan or vegan lifestyle or whole food plant-based, I mean that. Or actually, when I'm talking about raw food or when I'm talking about raw vegan, I'm always talking about whole food plant-based, not that stuff that's a packaged whatever or processed. Like I say, just go back to common sense. Eat whole plant-based foods. If you do just a few simple things, I don't see how you cannot not lose weight. Eat whole food plant-based. Don't do the process. Don't do the processed food, or do as little of it as possible. Eat a reasonable amount of fat. You don't have to be ridiculous. You don't have to totally restrict your fat. Eat anywhere from 10 to 20% fat. Where I'm not going to quibble over little percentages, because if you keep it in a reasonable range, you can lose weight. So just do these little simple things like that. Intermittent fasting. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. I've kind of got my notes kind of mixed up here, because people are always asking me like, okay, what are your thoughts on this? And intermittent fasting, I've done a couple of videos where I just kind of talk about it, in a light kind of way, because I think people get too much. I don't like the word fasting. There's just too much fasting talk. Fasting, always fasting. And too many people, even though I don't have a problem with fasting in certain conditions, it's a bad connotation. It just people start taking that and they go the wrong way with it. So I just don't like to even talk about fasting in any way, shape, or form. But intermittent fasting, Google it. You'll see several different versions of it. And I think there's a lot of value to certain versions of it, or a certain version of it that I've found for me. I kind of always used to poo-poo it anytime even anybody mentioned intermittent fasting, because a lot of the things were crazy in my head. It's like they were like trying to cram in all their eating in about 4 hours of the day, or like, oh, I wait until 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I only eat till 2:45. No. That I have no interest in as far as the intermittent fasting going. But I've figured out intermittent fast. I've been intermittent fasting for years just simply by my lifestyle. I generally don't eat in the morning until around 9 o'clock, sometimes later. And I rarely eat past 5 in the afternoon. A lot of times I eat at 4 in the afternoon. Occasionally I eat at 3:30 in the afternoon. Now, there are times when I do step out of that, and I'll have, like the other day, I had dinner at 6:30. I had been a pretty day out. I was out at the park. I was walking late afternoon, didn't get home. I ate till 6:30. But, and that's also how I've kind of helped myself puts the way I kind of realize this intermittent fasting is kind of a thing and does kind of work in certain ways is because I've found the proof in reverse. Like when I was wanting to put on weight over this last couple of years. Well, I've been trying to put on weight for years, but I really focused on it. And I just started making a point to eat a little bit later. You know, have a 6 o'clock meal more often. Have eat a little bit later. In other words, like open that window a little bit more. And I found that did help. So I found, okay, well, if that helps, then the reverse helps. And I don't think it's necessarily any magical formula of where, okay, now your body's kicking in and it's burning this instead of that. It's just simply when you live like that, that's what trips so many people up. Me stopping at 5 o'clock, how much do most people eat after 5 o'clock? And I'm not even talking about their dinner. I'm not talking about somebody that just happens to eat later than me. I know I'm like grandpa. No, you're not going to eat. Most of you out there are not going to eat at 4 or 5 o'clock. But what do most people do in the evening? They snack. They eat garbage. Do the same thing. Whatever time you eat 6, you eat 7, you eat whatever. If you're eating a reasonable dinner and you're not snacking in the night, but for a lot of people, you do that intermittent fasting of say 9 to 5 eating. That just cuts out the snacking right away. You've got that mentality. I don't sit around and snack at night. Healthy, not healthy, otherwise. My eating is done for the day. But I don't know. Everybody seems to want some sort of a magic formula. And like I say, this lifestyle is the easiest I've ever found to lose weight. So, and something else I want to talk about real quick before I finish here is people stumble into this. Use whatever work. Take whatever. I know people because they make comments and they write to me on Instagram. People come in here that are not raw. They don't have interest in ever being fully raw. Use what you can out of this. Maybe you have a raw breakfast. Maybe you have a raw salad for dinner 3 nights out of the week. I'm not obsessed with trying to pull you into the cult. I want you to be fully raw or nothing. Same thing. People reach out to me. They're not vegan. But they've started eating more plants. They're eating less animal products and they eat more fruits and vegetables. So, if you're not there yet, take what you can. I like to meet people where they are, but this weight loss thing is really not all that hard at all. Might actually do something with it this summer. I'm thinking about having some sort of little challenge or working with a few people one-on-one. Something. We'll see. And also, too, I've been talking about it for a long time. It's kind of hard to see this. I've got these food journals, and this is a thing too. That way, if you're going to get anybody to help you with weight loss or just so you really know what's going on all the time, been talking about it forever, I finally did one of my own. I've got these food journals out. They're very simple. All they do is you write the date down. You got a place to write down breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. You write them down. That way, they're in black and white. If you're asking for help from somebody, whether it be me or anybody else, I can go in and say, okay, tell me, let's go through your book. What did you eat this last week? And you have it down. I don't want to know maybe or what you're thinking or because you're going to leave stuff out. If you've got it down black and white, then you can sit down and you can troubleshoot or somebody can troubleshoot for you and say, well, maybe this isn't helping you by doing this every day. Now, I will put a couple of links below. This is just the first cover that I did for it because I wanted to test it. I wanted to have it printed. These are done on Amazon. So, if you ever have a problem with one, you got to go to Amazon and tell them, hey, it didn't print right. I wanted to order a couple actually before I talked about them. They're printed right inside, but I just threw a cover on there. I do have this cover available, but I've got some prettier covers out there for you. So I'll drop that in the link below. But weight loss. It's not hard. It's not hard. Just don't have that same mentality that you've had before, because if what you did before worked, you probably wouldn't be watching this video now. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this message today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Have a great week, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Peace.